You know the phrase, if you don't know who the dick in the room is, then it's probably you. I've got to think of a LinkedIn friendly way of saying that. Shall we just say plonker? I'm going to say plonker. So if you don't know who the plonker in the room is, it's probably you. Well, have you ever had that moment when you think, oh God, it's me? I was thinking about this because I was swimming this week and I turned up to some high drama in Henley Leisure Centre. I went to the fast lane and there was a guy in the lane next to the fast lane and he turned to me as I got to the lane and he said, well, just so you know, if you're thinking about getting in the fast lane, you better make sure you're really fast because this guy. And by the way, he doesn't like sharing either. Now, the way he said it was so kind of adversarial. I just assumed it was banter. I assumed he must know that person really well and he must be pulling that person's leg. So I just laughed and ha 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 ha. And then this chap sort of got to the end of the lane and he looked across and he looked a little bit deflated and then he said, aggressive. I then realised they didn't know each other at all. And obviously this other man, who I think was faster than him, was quite aggrieved by this. And I'd come into it completely out of context. So I was thinking about this, thinking, isn't it interesting? Because the man in the slower lane who was faster presumably felt like he was righting some terrible wrong by telling me, you know, the sins of this man who was clogging up the fast lane when he was doing breaststroke with his head out of the water. And I've been there, I've done that, where I've gone, well, that person's a plonker, so I'm going to stand up for myself and I'm going to stand up for what's right and I'm going to let this person know that it's not okay to behave like that. And then I get it all wrong and I am disproportionately angry about it, or I do it out of context and suddenly I become the plonker in the room. And I'm thinking, how did that happen? I was trying to do the right thing here, but because it was disproportionately emotional or because someone walked into the situation and was ambushed, they just look at you and go, well, you're the plonker. I could tell this man, he really wasn't letting it go, by the way, because when the other, let's say the slow swimmer, got out of the fast lane, he went into the sauna. And the other guy followed him and went, excuse me, mate, have you finished? Is it all right if I use this lane? And he just wasn't letting it go, at which point one of the lifeguards went up and had a little chat with this enraged man. And I must admit, I felt really sorry for both of them because I've been in both of those positions. In fact, if let's be honest, I'm probably the man in the slow lane shouting at the man in the fast lane. So it raises an interesting point because there is no doubt that there are people out there who are going to, grip our, what. There are people that are going to perhaps behave badly by our standards. And we feel quite entitled to point out that they've done that. And I don't really have any kind of quibble with that. But I think the important thing to take away here is don't become the plonker. Because no matter what happens to you, no matter what unfairness gets dealt to you, you still have a responsibility to respond as the best human you can be. And sometimes the best thing to do, although it's hard, is just go, you know what, I'm not cool with that, but I can let it go because, I can just rise above it and not become the plonker in the room. So if you are that person who's become the plonker, I feel your pain. I have done it many times. And if you're the person who's, just doesn't understand why someone can't let it go, then maybe it will help you to understand why they probably didn't wake up that morning, trying to be a bad person. They're probably trying to right some injustice that they feel that you have kind of put on them. Love to know what you think about this. How do you handle difficult situations? How do you become a sort of champion of justice without turning into a raving lunatic? Let me know what you think.